What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is JeffLightsyJr. here with the Black Boss channel and Victor Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell as we upload every single day. Now, today, we've got a good topic on our hands tonight. Yes, we are live. Let the comments flow in through the chat. I'm about to get to back to a regular live streaming schedule. I'll let that be known, but I'll get back to the regular live streaming schedule. But anyway, we're here today to talk about HBCU's top 10s, blue chip recruits, and clout, right? So there's a lot of, well, let me just go ahead and show the tweet. The King Clark of Tiger Club, 1400 Club, Tiger, that talks about Jackson State. They cover all things JSU. They do a really good job over there. Tiger Talk 1400 Club. Yes, they do a really good job of that. I check out Tiger Talk 1400 Club all the time. Always listen to, check out their stuff. They do good stuff, especially on social media. And he put out this tweet. Let me go ahead and show you the tweet, and then we'll get into the conversation. It says HBCUs are on a real mission in recruiting. You gain nothing when you don't land a targeted recruit. We appreciate being in top 3s, top 4s, and 5 lists. Consideration is cute and all, but from now on, clout chasing gonna get you called out. Stop tweeting HBCU if you not taking a serious look. And this got, as you see, got a lot of good engagement. 51 retweets, 9 quote tweets, and over 250 likes. A lot of different people commenting on this particular topic. Ken goes on to say, please don't misunderstand my words. We don't expect to land every player that lists us, HBCUs. I'm just saying, if you're really serious, go on a visit and do your due diligence when considering. Out of respect for us in the uphill battle we face, don't use the moment for clout. Now, a lot of people agreed with Ken. They're like, y'all listing Jackson State, y'all listing Grambling, y'all listing all these different HBCUs, and you don't really have any intentions on going there. You don't really have any intentions on actually playing in the SWAC or playing at Howard or Norfolk State or Morgan State in the MEAC or whatever. You're just doing it, or playing at South Carolina State. You're just doing it because it's cool. It's really cool to list Jackson State on your top 5. It's really cool to list Grambling in your top 5 or your top 10. It's really cool because their fan base, just like a lot of different fan bases in college football, but their fan base is really engaging. Their fan base get really turned. Their fan bases get really excited, especially when a blue chip recruit, a 4-star, a 5-star guy, hell, even a 3-star guy, lists their schools, list the Gramblings and the JSUs and the whoever next to the Alabama, next to the Arkansas, next to the Clemson, next to the big Power 5 schools that have won at the FBS level. And so that is a lot of HBCU fans aren't feeling this. Armstrong says, I'm going to be real, I seen this coming. And a lot of people may have seen it coming. That's a good observation, Armstrong. Shout out to you for tapping in. Darshell says they are using it for clout. Okay, and let's talk about it. What is the biggest problem to this is what I have to ask. I'm not disagreeing. And Ken's tweets, now I'm not going to attribute his tweets to a particular kid, but I'm going to say this. There was a 5-star kid who recently had Jackson State in his top 4 or 5. He had JSU in his top 4 or 5, and he committed over the past weekend. He chose to go somewhere else. But before he chose to go to the particular school, and I'm not gonna bash any high school young man, but before he chose to go to this particular school, he not once but twice basically shouted out JSU, talked about the HBCU experience, talked about how cool it would be, and not just like tweeted about it or whatever. He actually talked to national media pundits. He talked to he had graphics made of the quotes and the things that he was saying about Coach Prime and the things he was saying about JSU and the things he was saying about HBCU culture. And so, and I think that's what prompted Ken, and not just Ken, but a ton of other people that are on top of this topic to actually, to make his statement and for so many people to agree with him. And now I recently did a Jackson State made a top 10 for, the best player in the class of 2024. And people are tired of hearing about making top 10s. People are like, no, to hell with top 10s. We done been on top 10s. We ain't feeling it no more. We want to wait till the commitments. You drop a video when the commitments come, because the top 10 stuff, we can go on somewhere with that. Now, here is my argument today. Here's my counter argument to the people who do not like being listed in top 5s or do not like being listed in top 10 videos by some of these top-ranked recruits. Is, that comes with the territory. Armstrong, you're right. It's a part of the recruiting game. When you elevate yourself, when you elevate, not just as a program, but as an institution, and you elevate in the national media, this is what comes with it. This is what being a household name does. This is what happens when some of your programs, because it's not happening to every HBCU program. I'm going to just be honest. It's happening to a few. It's happening to Jackson State. It's happening to JSU's number one. And then Gramblin's been in a couple of top 5s, a couple of top 3s. And then I've seen FAMU and Southern. It's really those, but it's mainly JSU. And why is it mainly JSU? It's mainly Jackson State because their coach is Deion Sanders and because they landed Travis Hunter, right? And so therefore, because it is mainly JSU, it's mainly their fans who get excited about the J-Hats and who are pissed when they feel like a young man or a young recruit is using them for clout. Now, Darshell makes a, hey, shout out to you. Hey, hit that thumbs up button, by the way, if you're in the chat. She said they're not even using the right logo. It didn't even have a J hat. His hat had Jackson State. He wasn't serious. And you make a good point there. But here's the thing. Andre's on top of it. It's still putting HBCUs in the national spotlight. This is what happens when you enter a new realm. This is what happens when one of your programs lands a Travis Hunter, lands a Ryan Pepins through the transfer portal, lands a Kevin Coleman. When your program, Ryan Pepins was the Mr. Football at the same school that said recruit was at. He was Mr. Football in the state of Alabama and decided Utah wasn't the place for him. He enrolled early, decided that wasn't the place for him, and could have been in any place in the country and decided to go to Grambling. Travis Hunter was committed to Florida State for multiple years with an S, and decided, I'm good on that, and went to Jackson State. Kevin Coleman was an Army All-American, was at the All-American Bowl down in San Antonio, Texas, had a number of hats in front of him, and instead put on a JSU blazer and picked up the J hat. When you enter a new realm, different, like the ball game changes. And the thing with a lot of HBCU fans, not just Jackson State fans, but you have been playing at a different pace. You have been playing a different game. You haven't been in the building or in the conversation for some of these top-ranked players for a long time. You haven't been in the initial conversation for these blue chip recruits out of high school, the 4 stars, the 5 stars, down there, because all the SWAC schools are in SEC country. So most of these young men are coming from your backyards, from the Alabamas, from the Georgias, from the Floridas, from the Texas, from the Louisianas. That's SWAC country. Half the SWAC schools are right there in Mississippi. You get what I'm saying? So you are now in a new stratosphere. And so therefore, when you're in a new stratosphere, new things come about, good and bad. You have to take the good with the bad. Once again, you have to take the good with the bad. The good is you are going to land a few of these young men. You are going to convince a few of the young men who want to be a part of a change to actually take a visit to your school, to actually show significant interest in your program and that will actually not only commit to your program, but will sign and eventually put on a jersey and play for your program. That's the good. The bad is because of your passionate fan base, because you can show up with 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60,000 fans that look like the young man who is being recruited. Because of those things, and because of your passionate fan bases, both on social media and in real life, you're going to get a few clout chasers. You're going to get a few young men who see the love and attention that Travis is getting, that see the love and attention that Ryan Peppins is getting, that see the love and attention that some of these young men at FAMU and at Southern and in different SWAC schools are getting. They're going to see that, and they're going to want that. Because albeit you might go to University of Tennessee and play in front of 100,000 people, there ain't 100,000 people to look like this. There ain't 100,000 people that's going to cook you a home-cooked meal. There ain't 100,000 people that are going to relate to any and everything that you've been through. There ain't 100,000 people that are as genuine as the SWAC fans are seemingly are to their young men that play at their universities, to the young men that play for their schools, to their young men that choose their school to come and compete and play and uplift their program instead of just being another guy at Alabama or Tennessee or Florida or Georgia. So you have to take the good with the bad. So yes, are there probably some clout chasers? Probably. But that's not a bad thing. Because guess what? The big dogs get it too. It happens to the big dogs. And if you want to continue to uplift not just your individual program, but Black college football altogether, whether that's in the MEAC, the SWAC, the CIAA schools there, and the SAIC or whatever, then this is what comes with it. You're going to get a couple of young men or young ladies or whoever, but we're talking about football, so young men who are going to put a FAMU logo next to a Clemson and a Tennessee and a Georgia and a Florida and a USC, and they're going to have the hats, have JSU and Southern and whoever next to Clemson and next to Florida State and next to USC and UCLA, and they're going to pick up the USC hat or pick up the Texas hat or pick up the Clemson hat instead of a Southern hat, instead of a Jackson State hat. But, that's the price of doing business with the big dogs. This is what happens. When you decide to elevate, then things change. See, when you're just recruiting against each other and you're not recruiting and you're recruiting regionally or locally or citywide, which ain't nothing wrong with that, and you go from local recruiting or regional recruiting to national recruiting, then the scales have changed. And they're not weighted in your favor. They're weighted against you, if we're just being honest, because of the budgets that these FBS programs have, because of the scholarship allotment that FBS programs have, the 85 scholarships compared to the 65 scholarships, because of the resources that the FBS programs have. The scale is actually weighted against you. Your chances of landing that blue chipper are slim to none in reality, or they're supposed to be anyway. They're supposed to be slim to none in reality. Just let's keep it a bean. That's what it's supposed to be. And so you have to take that into consideration. I don't think this is anything worth getting upset about. I don't think this is anything worth getting upset about at all. Because that's showing that you're making progress. The fact that a young man who is a highly touted recruit who can go to a lot of different schools in the country, have plenty of choices, that has, thousands upon thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of followers on social media, on TikTok or whatever, decided to put your logo. Some people might not know what your logo is and look up and say, what's that school? And look up and find out the amazing things that your program is doing. I don't see that as a loss. I see that as a win. I see that as a win. That is always, every day of the week, that's going to be a win. and twice on Sunday there's going to be a win. The biggest problem is HBCUs haven't really proven anything to them. These kids need to see more players go to the league than a handful that they normally see. Alchemist, you're absolutely 100% right. Because no matter what you want to say about a blue chipper, a lot of those blue chip, those 4 and 5 star kids, no matter how slim the chances are, want to go play at the next level. They want to play in the NFL. We're talking about football, so let's talk about football. They want to play in the NFL. And right now, the track record, whether you like it or not, of playing in the NFL is better at Alabama. It's better at Clemson. It's better at Ohio State. It's better at Georgia. It's better at Florida. It's better at LSU than it is at a school in the MEAC, than it is at a school in the SWAC right now. And that's okay. That's okay because they've had a head start. They've got millions upon millions of dollars over you right now. So that's okay. That doesn't mean it always will be that way. That doesn't mean it will always be that way. Hit that thumbs up button, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're live tonight. We're live late tonight. Let's see. Let me see something else. These kids don't care about time momentum. They just want to hope the fast. And so, Alex, I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I'm going to push back on that because I do believe some of them care. But we're talking about an overwhelming majority might not. Now, what has taken place, I'm going to just be honest. What has taken place is JSU got Travis Hunter early, right? Like, Prime has been at Jackson State for one fall season and one spring season. That was weird and wonky a little bit. But in one fall season, after one fall season, he was able to land the #1 recruit in the country. And after one fall season, not only did he land the #1 recruit in the country, he then followed that up a couple of weeks later. So he signed Travis in December, and by January, they were signing Kevin Coleman, who was the #4 receiver in the country, a top 50 recruit, a 4-star. And so you got kind of spoiled. If I'm going to just be honest, you got kind of spoiled early. Like that's unprecedented. An FCS school had never landed a top 50 recruit ever. And you got 2 in a matter of a month. You got 2 in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So you got kind of spoiled. And so therefore, now you feel like every recruit should pick JSU. Every recruit should pick Grambling. Every recruit should, if not JSU, another school in the SWAC. If not a school in the SWAC, a school in the MEAC. And really, this is a slow build. This is a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. This is not an overnight story. And it's going to take some successful transfers to make some noise on their respective programs, on their respective teams, in their respective conferences, and to show some results in the NFL draft. To show some results. To have some on-the-field success. You got to have on-the-field success, and then show results come draft time. Show results come time for NFL scouts, evaluators, and teams when they need players to choose the players from your school. Kids are very show me. Show me. Why do you think the guys that are getting drafted in the NFL come a lot from the same schools? Come a lot from the same programs? They come from Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia. Most of them coming from those 4 schools because they're getting the best players. And they're getting the best players because they're putting guys in the league. And so you have to show me. You have to continue to show me. And JSU did a great job going 11-2. It showed enough to Travis and Kevin, and that they were able to land 2 of the better players in the country, 2 of the better players to ever choose as far as since the recruiting rankings. Let me say, since the recruiting rankings were put out, the 2 best players to ever choose an HBCU, straight out of high school, that is, anyway. You get what I'm saying? Let me know in the chat if you're following along. And so, therefore, you have to continue to build on that momentum. You have to continue to build on that momentum. But even when a young man list your school and doesn't pick your school. When they list your school, that is a win. Even if they're clout chasing in your mind, that is a win in your book. A win. That is a W. Check that off. That is a check mark W. Don't get it twisted. That is not a loss. That is not a bad thing. That is a win. That goes in the win column when they list your school. That is a win for sure. Let me look at some of the comments. It says, if HBCUs wants to get these 4- and 5-star players, you're going to have to pull off one hell of a recruiting campaign. It's starting to happen. Armstrong, it's starting to happen. Now you're starting to see some of the guys who were ranked 4 stars or 5 stars or whatever enter the transfer portal and now consider Alabama A&M. Now consider Alabama State. Now consider Jackson State, of course. Now consider FAMU and Grambling and Howard and Norfolk State and South Carolina State. And some of them are even enrolling. But you have to show continued success on the field, and you have to show results when it comes draft time. That's why it was big for for Jackson State to get a player drafted, to get James Houston drafted. The man balled out on the field, one of the best players in all of black college football, and then gets drafted. It was huge, once again, for South Carolina State to have Jacoby Durant ball out on the field, ball out in some of the biggest games of the season. Celebration Bowl, there was no passes thrown near Jacoby. Against Clemson, he finishes with 2 interceptions. You get what I'm saying? That turns him into a high-level draft pick. That makes him valuable to NFL franchises. So you have to be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day. The results are coming. I believe it as well. There's guys on FAMU, I think, will play in the NFL. There's guys on Grambling right now that will play in the NFL. There's guys from Jackson State that will play in the NFL. But this is a slow burn. This is a slow, you know what I'm saying? This is a slow burn. It's going to take some time. But don't feel offended. I don't think you should ever feel offended about these young men putting your schools in their top 5, in their top 3. Are they clout chasing? Some of them probably are. Some of them probably are. But I don't think that's a problem. That is the price of admission when you playing with the big dogs. And if you want to be considered a big dog, don't get it twisted. It hurts. It stinks. It sucks. I mean, we're talking about a young man put out multiple graphics about how big it would be to play for Deion, play for Coach Prime, to play at JSU, to play at an HBCU. Just because they came in late doesn't matter. And did not choose them? It stinks. But at the end of the day, that's his decision. And that's the decision that was right for him. But he still brought a lot of attention back to your program. He still brought a lot of attention back to the SWAC. He still brought a lot of attention back to black college football. Every time one of these guys lists HBCU in their top 4, their top 5, their reaction videos by guys on YouTube. There are national pundits that pick it up. There's national media outlets that have to make these graphics and talk about why FAMU is in the top 5, why Southern is in the top 5, why Howard is in the top 5, why whoever is in the top 3, top 5, top 10. They have to talk about those things. And that's only better for your individual program. It's not all they say all press is good press. I don't always agree with that, but in this case, absolutely it is. Absolutely. Without question. Without question. Without question. Brings attention to the school. So yeah. Do I think the HBCU programs will land some more of these kids? Absolutely. Do I think some of these kids will go on to have great careers at their individual HBCU? Absolutely. Do I think some of these kids might not have a great experience or a great career at their HBCU? That happens too. It does. It's the price of doing business at this level. It happens. But at the end of the day, I think it's all in the benefit for the collective, for all the programs, not just one individual program, but for all the programs. And that is only going to continue to raise the bar in the MEAC, in the SWAC, at your favorite individual HBCU. It's only going to continue to raise the bar. It's only going to make the product better. It's only going to make, and when the product is better, that means more eyeballs. And when you get more eyeballs, that means more TV dollars. And when you get more TV dollars, that means more resources. That means more resources for your kids. That means more resources for your university. That means more resources for your programs. That means upgraded facilities. That means even more players will start taking visits. That means even more players will consider your schools. That means more players will choose your schools and pick your schools and sign your schools and play for your schools. Do you get what I'm saying? So this is not a bad thing. No, it is not. Ken was absolutely correct. Some of them are doing this for clout. But that is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. So, in conclusion, are some of these young men probably doing this for clout? Probably so. But that's the price of doing business at this level, at this stage. When you're this highly touted of a prospect, you do a lot of, not all of them, but a lot of them do a lot of stuff for attention. They're getting NIL deals. They're getting people that are recruiting them, wanting them to come to their program, telling them everything that they want to hear, bad-mouthing your program, right? Especially when you're at HBCU and you're at the FCS level versus the schools that are FBS and that are Power 5 and that are competing for FBS national championships and not Black college national championships or celebration bowls. Of course, they're bad-mouthing your schools. They're negatively recruiting against your schools. Hell, we heard Nick Saban. Now, granted, him and Prime said 2 goats, 1 duck, no beef. They've come out and made that. But it happens. You heard what he had to say about Prime and Jackson State and Travis. That's called negative recruiting. Now, granted, he was doing that to rile up his base, but you still heard what he had to say. And so that's happening in these living rooms across the country. When a Clemson or Ohio State hears that their blue chip prospect out of Florida is considering FAMU. Whoa, what? We might lose a recruit to FAMU? We might lose a recruit to Grambling? It's one thing for us to lose a recruit to guys we think are on equal playing field when it comes to resources and facilities and donors and alumni, et cetera, but to lose a recruit to a little bitty old black college, nah, that's going to ruffle some feathers, and it might get some folks fired. So, yes, you're not going to land all of them. But that doesn't mean it's not a good thing to be on these lists. Because the more they're talking, the more exposure you continue to get, the more interest you'll garner, the more eyeballs you'll get on your games, and the more money that it'll bring into your institution. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, my name is JeffLightsyJr with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. That is on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. Thank you guys for tuning in with the live show. We're going to do more live shows more regularly. I got to get back on the live show grind. More live shows more regularly, but thank you all who tuned in tonight on the late night live show. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Peace.